check if everything is working well. Sorry for that. Everything is working. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Sorry, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's working fine. Should I link you over my Twitch channel or do you have it?
Oh, I have it, Remulto, right?
Yeah. Okay. You have it. Yeah, nice. Perfect. Okay, let me check if the audio quality is good. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Seems everything working's fine. Just let me check if there is no lag. Working's fine. Just 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. If there is no lag, okay, it seems it's good. It's good. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. If there is no lag, okay, it seems it's good. Okay. Let me sit into my original position here. And so many cables under my legs. It's messy. It's messy. You have pretty much the same lighting system that me, right? So
Yes, natural light.
yeah. True. The light of the sun, right?
Yes,
Captured in
on my
some
screen.
bubbles. Yeah. True. Okay, let me know, Jose, if we can start. Let me know.
Yeah, I'm totally down
Okay.
to start.
So welcome everyone in my very new episode of my Dev Life show. Today I'm joined with Jose, aka Cloudwelt. I hope that I pronounce your name right. Let me know if not. And I'm very
Yes.
thankful and very honored that you joined us for today's episode. And yeah, like I'm always saying, let's start with a little bit of introduction. So please introduce yourself for us.
And I'm Gustavo, aka Global. It's just an acronym, and I make games. I'm kind of a solo dev-ish person that has kind of evolved into other stuff. But I come from a background of doing stuff on my own and doing a little bit of everything.
I see.
And a little bit more of a graphic designer too, and a musician. I also play the cello. So
Oh, nice. Okay. Lovely.
I keep myself busy.
Nice. Love to hear that. So my very first question would be, what was your very first contact with video games as a player, if you remember those times of your past?
As a player, it was definitely like, I my dad gave me a Linux laptop.
Okay.
You know Linux, right? And
Yeah,
that
I
you
do.
have
I
to
do.
do
Yeah,
everything
yeah.
through a terminal. And he told me, if you want to play a game, you need to figure out how to install it through the terminal. And
Okay.
all of them were shit because it was like a bad worms. Like, do you know the worms, the one
Yeah,
where
I
you
do.
shoot, and really bad clone. And the tax racing. Tax racing is good. Like
Okay.
the Linux Penguin has like a freaking racing game, and yeah, that was the first time
Okay.
that I ever played big games. I was like 8 or 7.
I see. And from that point of your life, what was the transition time when you like realized that you want to not just love playing games, but also like have this dream of making games? What was the first click of yours in your life in the past?
I was always playing emulated games
I see.
because since that happened, my dad installed like he went super hard with the internet
I see.
when it started happening, and he discovered like the old torrenting way where it was super different from today, and he downloaded all of the consoles, basically the Super Nintendo and everything, and he put them on my grandma's computer. And every day I came out of the school, I went to my grandma's house, I played a little bit of something. I was like 20,000 games, and you can imagine the best way if you want to make a game developer, just do that. Just put all of the consoles on a computer and let the kid like do their thing, because I could play like any game, and I was like, hey, this is shit, I'm going to try another one today. And it's like, UFO 50, if you have tried it, it's like a very similar feeling of discovery.
I see. And that was the first time when you really like started to make the first step in order to make games, like
Yep.
commercial games on a commercial level.
Well, not commercial. I was doodling shit on my
I see.
on my stuff, and then as soon as I got a computer, obviously I started with Flash. I then went to Stencil, and I ended up after Game Maker in Construct, which is the engine I use.
I
So
see.
I've been always a visual programmer because I was always very visual. So
I see.
while I was playing those emulated games, I was always like scribbling stuff and in school and making all sorts of strange projects and drawing shitty comics and stuff. And
Oh,
then I
that's
was
awesome.
like, I have a computer. I can do flip notes, and then I do animation flip notes, and then I evolve into Flash, and it's like, okay, I can make like full like Edmund Macmillan style stuff, very
Love that.
inspired by Newgrounds. So then that evolved naturally into getting into solo dev because you see Edmund Macmillan, and it's like instant, like I want to do this. It's like
Nice, nice.
such a creative, artistic person with such weird stuff going on, and still he's such an amazing game developer making like millionaire stuff. Because at the time, The Binding of Isaac wasn't even out, and I was already like totally hooked on Edmund because his work like was so sincere, and seeing that was like this is the moment, this is what I want to do, like totally.
Nice, nice, nice. Were your, by the way, family, close friends, and parents supportive about your decision that you started making games? How do you feel about that?
It's funny because my mom still thinks I test or I play games for a living. She
Okay.
doesn't know, the concept of me making games
Sorry.
is not very clear to her. It's like
I
the
see.
typical mom thing, which is like, he just plays games every day. But obviously, they've been 100% supportive with the stuff I've been making. I am the older brother. I have a
I
little
see. I see. I see.
brother, so I've had a lot of slack on what I want to do and stuff, and I've always been like tidy and stuff, like older brother type of stuff. I always been organized, and I had a job since I was 17, making like freelance stuff.
I see. I see.
Well, 17 it should be illegal, but in theory it was legal with the website I was using. But I was always like hustling different things, making
Love that. Love
websites
that.
for people, and so they were super supportive, and obviously they are the biggest force behind what I do
I
as well
see. I
because
see.
they are teachers.
Oh,
Uh,
okay. 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 I see. I see now. I see now.
mhm.
I see. Okay.
And yeah, both things obviously go hand in hand. Like video games teach you stuff.
True.
In
True.
Mario,
True.
you learn to
True. I
jump, and
agree
you learn
with
to
you.
go to
Yeah.
the.
Yeah. Yeah. And multiplayer games form connections between people and show how synergy works between people. Yeah, I agree on that. Yeah.
Mhm,
Yeah. 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 Okay.
mhm, mhm.
Okay. 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 So my next question would be: throughout the projects that you made so far, and you are making as well as a developer, were there anything that you had to cut out from the games itself?
Yeah, you always have to cut stuff.
Okay. Okay.
Especially it's either time or it's that you don't have the resources. And I see this every day with all of the developers I meet. They always have some kind of hard limitations. Either for now, what I'm seeing is either you don't have time or you don't have enough like team. Making a game is about having the vision of I can see all of the elements of my game, and I know in what order I need to work on stuff, and I know that everything will come together. And that kind of feeling of everything will come together is what drives you to finish the game, even if it's like 9 months of super hard work, But if you don't have all of the pieces, like, oh, I don't know how to make art, or I don't know how I will incorporate the music, those are all roadblocks that I think lead to like living projects and stuff. So to me, the most important part is exactly that. Basically, if you cut stuff, you're going to get there faster, and then you can just iterate and expand. So to me, what Staff Wombat, which I will talk later when you ask me about it taught me very early is that cutting stuff is beautiful, and it's a pleasure. You know what I mean? It's like people see it as, oh fuck, I'm not going to be able to make the Legend of Zelda like 7 or whatever huge game, but cutting like a mechanic that you've been working on 2 weeks because it doesn't work, it's actually a relief. It's like I am burning my time because I can afford it. It's like I will make I will end up making a final game and I will release it, but in the meantime, if it doesn't work, oof, I delete it. And it's like, I don't know, there's some kind of beauty there,
Enjoyments.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I see. I see. I see. I see. So let's go with your games in a chronological order. Which games have been released to Steam? What was the influences behind all those games that you released so far for Steam? I was wondering about that because they are such cool gameplay oriented fun games, but they still have like a moral story to tell, in my opinion, at least with the themes that you envisioned or had a vision for. What was the influence behind those games? If you could tell us more about those games.
I love Cactus, like the guy that make Hotline Miami, which is like
Okay.
everyone knows Hotline Miami. Well,
Yeah.
one of the
Yeah.
guys, the programmer, was like a programmer and a crazy artist, and both work in synergy really well.
Okay.
And I always thought Cactus work is amazing. If anyone wants to check it out, it's a plethora of incredible projects. They are all like 32 bits, so you need like special ways to play them, but they are amazing. You can see them, and they are all made in Game Maker, and he uses really interesting methods of working out. That was like my major like maturing reference. You know,
I
Edmund
see.
Macmillan is like he makes like strange stuff, and he's mostly an artist. He's not really in the technical side or
I
in the
see.
design side. He mostly makes things that are very mechanical but strategic,
I
and
see.
not all of his stuff is like live action
I see.
and stuff. It's always a blend of weird stuff, but it's not like games. He makes something that I don't know what to call them. They're obviously games, but they are not the typical, like
I
I'm
see.
going to make a shooter, I'm going to make a whatever. And Cactus was like to me the opposite. He's making games that are very cliche, but he turns them around. He makes a totally new twist, and he adds a really good aesthetic, and without dialogue or anything, he adds a lot of depth. And you guys can read his blog posts and stuff. He talks sometimes about the experiences that he's having in his life, terrible shit happening, and he's putting all of that into his games. And I find that super cool, because you get like a David Lynch style exploration first person game that is super pixelated. That was made in 2004, and you can see games today that don't know that exist, and that are kind of getting to the same conclusion, but very slowly, and with different like with a different feeling, because they are doing it because it's like a trend to make like
True. 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 True.
uh,
True. Very true. Very
but
true. Yeah.
he was making the fact stuff first, and really experimental. Like,
True.
check it
True.
out, guys, it's
True.
super
True.
good.
True. Very true. Very true. Very true. Very true. So you mentioned that every creator is influenced by his or her own stuff. Is it true for your projects as well that you always put your inner self, your past experiences about everything that you experienced in the past into your games as well?
Yeah, exactly. I do the
Okay,
same thing. So I saw Cactus, I saw Edmund Macmillan. I was like, I want to be a solo game developer,
I see.
and I see the influence from Flash games. That it's like a very tangible thing that people can play online. I always fell in love with that from the first moment. So I was
True, true,
like,
true.
I'm throwing away Unity, because Unity works super badly on web.
I
Now
see.
it's better, but they are pivoting away. So I was like, I want something online. I want something that I can work with quickly, and I want to make games really iteratively, and that made me who I am, and made me make the games that I made with the people that I made them. I have a lot of things I feel in common with Staff Combat, which is why we get along really well. And the last thing is that I am in the camp of game systems. That there is a saying that says you're either a person who makes games or a person who makes systems, and you can see it clearly. Like Notch, for example, who in Minecraft is really systems driven. He just made an engine that is 3D and voxel, and then the gameplay stuff came really slowly because he just wanted to make an engine.
True, true,
and
true,
and
true,
he's
true.
been since then like 20 years trying to get out of that area and go back into making games, and I feel like I was stuck there for a long time as well, and I think it really makes sense if you think about it, because
True.
if you want to make games, you need the technical stuff, right? There is no way to make a game just
Without that,
because
yeah.
you want to make a game, so you get stuck into that. It's really easy to lure yourself into the I want to be a good programmer, I want to do that. And to me, the best thing that can happen in the industry is that engines like Construct and stuff that is like Scratch but 2.0, that you can actually make console games, and everything I made is with that engine ever. And if that becomes popular and people start being able to make games without having to get lured into the technology,
See,
it
see,
will be
see.
the best, because it's like Flash. My inspiration for my life and all of the stuff I've been making has been seeing Flash die, and seeing something resurface, which is the engine that I've been using since 10 years ago.
I
and
see.
that also comes into the games, which is like, oh, I had this idea of discovery from my childhood, I put that into the game. But that comes after I think of the mechanic and the
I see.
idea. That
I
also
see. I
comes
see.
from seeing something in nature or something in the street. And the more you see in life, the better games you make. It's incredible. It's not about being a good programmer. It's about, oh, in the street I saw like a dog do something strange and a weird interaction between animals, and that led me to think about this behavior in a video game. You can make something out of it. It's incredible, and that stuff Wombat really taught me as well. That it's really you need to be very vigilant if you really want to make games. Otherwise, you will be making a genre with another genre fused together, and that's it. It's what most people get, and it's super cool. Balatro exists, and that's amazing. But I love the conceptual stuff. If you see the solo dev vibe of the games I like, you will see the difference, like genre bending between versus conceptual stuff.
True. So far, what was your favorite thing to work on? What game was your favorite to work on? And also, what was your favorite part of those games to work on so far with your projects during the process of working on games?
Easily Snack, which is the one I think that you have played.
Okay.
I made that because my story with games is a bit strange. So I was going solo developer, and then I met Josh, Staff Wombat, and we made Comp. I helped a little bit on Comp, some stuff, and then he made a project which was 10-minute games.
Yeah.
And this project was just, let's have groups of people, each one makes a game, and we sell it together in a package.
Yeah, I saw that.
So 10 games, 10 minutes each, and $10. And it was mostly like a rebel thing. There was a manifesto and everything, and it was to like call out the gamers that think that games need to be like $1 an hour or whatever, and the gameplay hours is more important than whatever. But in the heart of it, I think it also was a really good practice, because if you think about it, it was like a jam, but you end up releasing something on Steam, and that makes you learn a lot of stuff,
Sure.
And it also puts a lot of strength in the project. There were very different games, and some of them I even play them today. A month ago, I played with my partner one of the games from the pack, which is like a simple visual novel where you need to close your eye. One person needs to close their eyes so the other person can read some details that are secret, and it's really simple, but this conceptual stuff and solo dev stuff to me is beautiful. It's what makes new stuff happen, and I haven't seen that game ever happen again. And you can do interesting stuff in games, and it's hard because I had a lot of fun making Snack, because I was with Guille, my main artist that I met, which you can see like Cactus and his artist on Hotel Miami, a similar thing. It's like we vibe together, and it's really easy to make stuff. So that was the best experience, because you have all of the time in the world, you have the team you want, and you have an objective and constraints. That's the best thing. And ever since, it has been pain. All of the project, not Comp, but Comp and anything that I work with Staff Wombat is an exception. But anything else that I have worked is pain. Real life,
I see. And what was the hardest part? Like, we talked about your favorite parts of the process of making games. What was the hardest part or parts?
People who are outside of this mentality.
Okay.
Because everything outside of this mentality is the real world, and the real world is really hard. And obviously people need to eat, and companies need to thrive and stuff, but in between that, there is a friction that kills a lot of things in this process.
True.
I heard
that's the theme of your games as well, right? To have the freedom of possibilities that you mentioned in the Steam description of your games.
And now that I have a team, it's like I want to feed my family. I want to feed like my people. So I'm trying to find projects.
You still have to connect to society, sadly, right?
Well, with my family, I have the same vibe. Like solo dev stuff. If we had infinite money, obviously everyone says that, right? If I had infinite money, I would just be making stuff with them infinitely, right? But the problem isn't even the time that a project takes. Sometimes that's a problem, but the biggest problem for me has been the management, the project management. Because I am coming from a solo dev perspective, it has been really funny, because it's like the universe saying screw you, because it's like, okay, you want to go outside of solo development. Okay, I'm going to put you in a place where you won't have time to manage the project, and nobody is going to manage it right. People are going to be like, oh, I manage this project, and they do a really bad job, and everything goes to shit. And next time it's like, I have to depend on a designer, and the designer doesn't do their job because it's outside of my team, And it's like, depending on people who are not, who are just they'd rather be on an office, rather than making games. They are like, I like I like it because a lot of my friends are they work in software companies, and it's just you get in, you get out, and you have done your part of the job, and it doesn't really matter. They have people telling them what to do, right? And it's hard because solo development needs like a grounded level of dichotomy and like hierarchy. Everyone is at the same level, and in companies it's the opposite. It's like there is like measuring of egos, and the bosses need to be better than everyone else, and the experience and the years that you have also influence a lot. So my worst experiences have been like that: people denigrating my work or denigrating my team, or being an obstacle, or like that is the hardest part, going into the real world and having to get money from people that are like outside of this vibe. It's really hard because then I have to come in and be like, hey, this is how you have to do it, and they're like, oh, I didn't know, sorry. I'm like, it's okay. But I'm going to die now because it's like 4 weeks until the game releases. And I have to
True, very true, very true, very true,
Yeah.
very true, very true. So how throughout the development process of all those games that you made so far, how have you changed as a person in other territories of your real life? If there were any changes in your other territories of your real life by being a game developer yourself?
I am way healthier.
Okay.
It's not that I was bad beforehand,
I see.
but I stuff got to me much more, and it's
see.
normal. But also, I am now in a trance, you could say. Yeah, like I get to work. I don't really have a time frame where I'm working because I'm always really busy. I have like overlapping projects. I'm always in crazy stuff. People tell me, why are you in so much stuff? And I'm like, I don't know. I would rather be making one game, like Emu Mamila, like one game. I'd rather be doing that, but I don't know. I get into these things. And before it was like super stressed all day and thinking a lot about the stuff that I promised to people. It's like I promised to like an artist on Twitter that I'm going to like make a little prototype for him because I showed him the prototype in the earlier stages and he's like, oh, it's cool. Let's like evolve it a little bit. And I'm like, yeah, I don't have time, but I will try. And that's stuck in my head and time passes, and it's that thing where it's really hard to come back to speak to that person again. And I had this problem really hard when I was like from 17 to 21. It was a really bad problem. Like things happen and I cannot really keep my promise. Even there wasn't really an agreement or anything. It's like, oh, let's like fuck around or whatever, or let's like call each other back, And I was very shy, and it was really hard for me. The more time passed, it was harder.
I couldn't tell that you were shy in any moment. Yeah.
Yeah, man, it was really bad. And the more time passed, I couldn't. It was harder to talk back to the person. The anxiety was too bad.
Yeah. Because you felt bad that you didn't reach back. Yeah.
Yeah, and it was like super stupid stuff. She's like, oh, can you help me like make me a website? And it's like, yeah, I can do it really quickly. And I start making it, I finish it, and it's like, hey, I like it, and that works. But then it's like, hey, a different person, can you look, can you like make me a little font? And it's like, oh, I can help you, like, and then months pass and I cannot get to that. So sometimes it goes well, but the times it goes bad, it ruins my life. So it's that thing when someone tells you something good, you don't really notice it. You only notice the bad stuff happening. So that has helped a lot throughout the years. Now it's like, okay, I am focused. I am communicative. I know it's no worries. I know that because I give a lot, to people. It's like I help a lot of people, and it's like I'm chill now. It's like that has been the biggest change, and it's been hard.
I see. I appreciate, by the way, your honesty. Thank you for that. Thank you so much. Okay, so we talked about, by the way, the game that still does not have a Steam page or any like option to like check out time bytes, right? What happened to that game, and when we will as players be able to see anything from that game outside that one screenshot at your page?
That game is a love story because I really want to get into the game as soon as we finish with this commercial.
It's way different from the games you made so far, right? So it's like more personal, if I could tell, right?
I've been making, yeah, so solo dev, I make jam games and stuff. I do collaborations with solo devs, and Staff
Sorry.
Wombat, Adam Pipe. You could name a lot of people who are like this, like solo
I
dev.
see. I see.
But suddenly I meet a team of people. So I have my artist, I make stuff, I snack with him, and I already have like a sequel plan because the game was 10 minutes. I have like a full game. And it's like a witness inspired exploration puzzle game, which I love, and I really want to get into that one as well. But I meet a team of people, and they are like, hey, let's make a prototype for this Billete Cohete thing, which is a program from the Game Kitchen people, the
Okay.
Blasphemous developers. They said, hey, I'm going to give you money and we supervise your project and we will publish it and all of the risk is on us, right? And we're like, hell yeah. Like, first edition seems to be going well and the second edition is coming up, hopefully, and we start making a prototype. And I'm like, okay, guys, I don't want you guys to do this for free. I don't want people to work for free. I'm going to ask for grants and stuff, and let's see what happens. Okay, this is not a promise, but let's start working together. And we start working together. It's like a producer, my artist, me as a lead developer, a musician, which was a long friend from high school. That was really funny because he was the perfect person, and he was here since the beginning. But I hadn't made the connection. We're good friends, but he was like the perfect person for my team. He's a musician and also designer, artist, and all of us do a little bit of everything. And it was the perfect team. And we started making the prototype, right? There was a big problem, and it was that there was also a game designer who was the one that kind of had the idea to start, hey, let's make a prototype and stuff. And everyone else, like, started doing their own thing, but he wasn't like stringing along with us. It wasn't, the moment when you see like the person is not the right one and stuff.
True.
And also they had a really bad time in personal wise, so he couldn't work on the project. But it wasn't like he couldn't work and he told us. It was like he didn't tell us. So it was a thing of like, hey, like we can work in the future, but if we get this signed, like it's not. I don't think it's the right moment, but he didn't take it very well. I tried being as kind as I could and all of that, but he had a lot of attitude and stuff. And so the Time Bytes project, I have a little of respect to that because I already paid a lot of the people through grants that worked on that. But I really want to be, I want time for that person to heal, even though he didn't really have a lot of input into the project. I know he had like the main mechanic of the game, a little bit of that, and then I can come back to it. And also because we are busy, but that's what's going to happen. It's going to be a really cool game where you do everything by biting, like in Wario Land games, and you are a little girl witch, and it's going to be a great game. And a lot of it is done. So now that you have reminded me, I'm going to freaking release a demo because that we can do because we agreed together that
Or
we
you
could
have to
release
show
a demo.
me in private, right?
Yes,
I would be down
yes,
to
yes.
that. I would be down to that. Nice.
I don't know if you do screen share segments, but I
No,
can.
I won't do that. No, you can trust in me. You can trust
I will
in me.
do it in private. I will
Nice. Lovely.
But
Okay.
yeah, in general, it has been just life getting in the
I
middle
see.
in a good
I
way
see.
because we had to stop because the second edition wasn't happening at all.
I see.
It
I
was
see.
like stringing along a lot, so we paused the game. Also because of that, and I made Tretis, the game that you can see on my page and all of
Yeah.
that.
It's
I made
releasing
that prototype
soon. Yeah.
myself in 3 weeks, and that's where my solo dev stuff shines. Like when you give me time and I can do my thing, it's like I make the prototype and I go to Bilbao festival. I go to a lot of conferences. I do a lot of pitching. I level up in that sense. Solo devs have a hard time there, so I knew I had to train. So I went to Big. I met you in Cologne in
Yeah.
Gamescom. I've been pitching that game in Cologne. I have finally a contract for Tretis, maybe happening. So it's just keep trying, guys. And yeah, I made that prototype, and I was like, guys, I don't want you guys to work for free. Again, I said that again, and I was like, if you guys want to add a little bit of art, last November, I was like, and I will pitch this game, and I will get us a project, and I will get us money. It wasn't a promise. I was like, hey, I'm going to try. And I found we had to stop making treaties together because they started making art and everything, because we found two projects. So finally we have two funded projects, and that's where we are at. So I wish I had made more solo dev stuff like Cactus and like Staff Combat and all of these people, but I found myself in this situation basically, that I found a family and I wanted to feed them because you can see in time, but it's like it's so cool having a team of people that can help you, and that you work like it's not you hire a third party. It's like they are like synergistic with you, like the artist designs mechanics. You know, everything works together. I
Connected,
don't
yeah.
need a second programmer. You know, because I was always thinking I need a second programmer. I still think I need it, but with that kind of team, it's magic. You know, you can never see that in a company. You can never see that anywhere else. It's really hard to happen because companies don't work like that. You know, it's like senior and junior, and it's like a bunch of BS, in my opinion. I hope it's not too offensive to say. But yeah, the real world stuff is a bit more crude. But yeah, I think I answered your question.
Yeah, it's interesting, by the way, that a lot of like big companies like hire so many people, and I think nowadays that the industry is like leaving and canceling a lot of people from their companies, it really shows that it's not just that they want to like rescale their budgets, but it also shows what you said is that I think they realize that it's not just cheaper to work with less people, but also like more consistent and more approachable, in my opinion, because even if you have so many people and talented people making those great AAA games, but it's still like I think it might be ending up having more time or needing more time to make games, right? Because the connection is hardly formed, and you need more people to hire to form those connections between people. I'm not saying that they are not talented in any way. It's just it's weird. It's weird.
Yeah, it's very strange. It's like they are not like connected
Yeah.
to the project just because it's an enterprise. It's
Yeah,
like as soon as it's an
yeah, because
enterprise,
they are making all small segments to it, right? But they are not that connected to it because, of course, how could you manage like 100 people in the team? It's hard, right? So it's like, yeah, we watch all those Lord of the Rings movies where like the king is going forward with all the synergy people behind him. It's like magic, but in real life it's not happening, right? So yeah, it's weird. It's weird. I always felt like this is very true what you have said. Like it's not like me disrespecting like people who work in the AAA business, because I don't disrespect them at all. I really respect what they do, but it really shows what you have said is that if people would be so if the education level was good enough, in my opinion, and could help people grow in a very early age to found themselves in what they love and what they are passionate about, then like you said, there wouldn't be like levels of talent, right? But would be like rules of talent, right? That's okay, you are a programmer, you are an artist, you are a music composer, but not like you said it like senior, high level, low level, but there will be like already people who work their asses off to get to that point where they can say that, okay, now I'm talented, now I have this full scale of my knowledge. And of course you can always evolve, but yeah, I think that's the point, and that I totally agree with you on that a lot of people, even talented ones, they do not get the education level from university or high school, because like there is no real mentorship most of the time, especially in my country. It's very true for my country here in Hungary as well, that there is it's very rare when there is a real mentorship who tells you how you should use your talent and how you should evolve with your talent and how you should like learn to put your passion into a project to achieve something with that, right? To even make a game happen into real life. And I think it's sad because I believe that every one of us has talent, right? So it's like getting rare and rare nowadays that somebody is like already, like you said, working in the age of 17. I can totally relate to that. I started working as a video game journalist when I was 16. I fell in love like writing, not just poems, but articles about video games. And I was like, okay, I need to do this, even if like it's not allowed. I need to figure it out somehow because I love to do this. And I just practice. But it's me and it's you. It's true for us. But for those people who do not have the drive very soon, I think that they should be mentored, right? Because there are so many people who are questioning themselves because of the society standards, and it's totally fine. So I mean it's sad, but it's also fine. I can understand those people, but that's when mentoring comes in my opinion. That there should be like real mentors who made it, who already achieved that level of greatness, and say that, okay, you are talented in it. Please use it in a way, because I can show you how to use your talent, right? But it's very rare. Like It's very rare.
So
in my
there are
opinion.
not like accelerator programs or anything in Hungary? Because in Spain there are a few, and I'm
No,
very lucky
there
to
are a
be.
few, but they are not. How to explain? They are not. I think that video game culture here in Hungary is still at very early phase, in my opinion, especially
Mhm.
compared to the US and other European countries. Like now, esport is getting like a bigger like audience, and also like video game development nowadays, like more people like coming forward or together or solo in this. There are of course a lot of like great people who are making games already, but it's not that like, for example, I don't know, like from other European countries or American countries that it's really like thousands of people making games, so it's still not that level of confidence. But I assume that there are so many people who would like to make games or who have talents to make games in any form, right? Even if it's art or programming or making a cool cutscene or a gameplay. So I believe in that. It's just I really feel like when I was a student at university, I always felt like I'm surrounded with a lot of students who are like not having any goals with their life.
Mhm.
And even if
Mhm.
they have like talent in something, they are scared to pursue it because, like, oh, I have to pay the bill. Oh, I have to, maintain a family and everything. And like you said, real life, right? So it's good to be in real life, like, but you also forget that there are goals which are connected to your life and your passion and your talents. And that's what I'm saying, that people get to this point of their life, especially at their 30s and 40s, when they achieve a level of confidence by having money and a house and like a family of their own, but they still end up being this empty soul, right? So because they feel like their talent is what got wasted, right? Because they haven't used it. For example, they loved playing, I don't know, the violin or the piano, but
Mhm.
they never like
Mhm.
started messing with that in a sense to grow as a person in their territory. So yeah,
Wow.
it's weird. It's weird. I see a lot of people. I even saw some of my friends who, like, for example, were very talented in making photos, or very talented in programming, but they never like used that talent. Or sometimes they did, but they still ended up being this self-questioning person because of the society standards of losing their talent. I mean, they never lost it, but like never used it in a way that they wanted to. So yeah, sorry, it was me rambling a lot.
No, no, no. I love it, and I love it. And do you think those? Because I think there are really three layers that are really interesting here. Because
Okay.
those people that you mentioned that have no goals, I totally I totally see that as well. But I have a thing which is like I grew up in a really small town, that in the sense of, in the south of Spain you can go to a lot of small towns where people never left ever in their life, and they died there, and they never had any goals, and they never had any, and they were super happy. You know what I mean? So when I see these people that haven't like made the most of photography, for example, that you mentioned, or stuff, and they live their lives empty in a way, they are still, they
True.
have probably a family,
True.
or they have
True.
their own
True.
way, and
True.
they die.
True.
At the end, we even if we make games, at the end we'll be, well, I don't want to say the phrase we will be dust or whatever, but I think we make games to evolve, like to push society a little bit, right? To
True.
I don't know, you make you make a game like The Witness or whatever, because you want to explore new ideas, you want to push stuff, right? But
True.
it's not
True.
really about, oh, now I am the best, right? Now
True.
I
True.
have made
True.
all of
True.
the games.
True. True.
You
True.
never
True.
end making the game. So in the end, do we have a goal ourselves? It's like we will end up like them, like
Yeah.
we
True. True.
will
True. True.
80
True.
and
True. It's true.
loving our family, and then
Yeah,
like
I
passing away
totally
with
agree
them.
with you. At the end of the day, there are no real goals if you go deep down in the rabbit hole with that topic, because these are goals which we make ourselves. So there is no ultimate real goal, or at least humanity itself is never discovered it so far, or might, but we do not know about it, right? So it's every goal is like made by ourselves. But I still feel like every person has a drive, even if it's like connected to what we experience, because I believe that even passion and our talent is connected through our experiences, right? So for example, for my case, I started to love writing and started to combine it with video games because I was so much into video games, and I was so much also into writing because of my school teacher was so kind to us and let us teach us how to analyze and how to talk about poems. So I really got into a phase when I started to like this mentality. So it's basically, I would say that talent is probably something connected what we were born with, but also like the experiences that we had in life. So that's how we form these goals. But still, I feel like what really like I can tell you an example of this. Like I had this moment in my life when like I was attending to voice acting school, and there was a woman who had like a really very good voice, and she was like also in our class, and she told us. So the teacher asked every one of us what was the goal behind, or what was the goal of us that we attended to this class of voice acting class. And she said that she was at her 40s, and she had everything. Like she had a good salary, she had a good family, she had a loving husband, and everything she wanted, like what society standards tell you to have, like car, family, house, everything. But she felt like it's not fun for her anymore, to because she achieved everything that she wanted. So and let's say at a very early age, so she doesn't even reach her 50s. So it's like, yeah, and she realized she wanted to challenge herself, and because a lot of people told her that she has this sexy woman voice, very like appealing voice, she started messing with the idea that, okay, now I would like to like start something doing with that, and she found herself in it. And yeah, so it's
Oh,
very
that's
interesting.
beautiful.
Yeah. So
But
I
I think did she make her family and all of this because she really wanted, or was it just you said because of societal standards,
I'm
right?
not sure. I'm not sure. She wasn't talking about that. It's just she brought up the topic of like she had everything she wanted. But we will never know, right? Because sometimes it's like people are doing it because of the society standards. For example, if there are a lot of people who just, wants to own a car or a house, or wants to have a wife or a kid just because of the society standards. There are a lot of, for example, women that I talk to, and they say that, okay, I'm at that phase of my life that I really need to have a child, but not because they are scared, right? So they will get old and they won't have a family. So it's like really those society standards, biological society standards, I mean,
Mm.
from this side of point, right? So, and it's a bit sad in my opinion, because like on one point I understand it, on one point still I feel like what you have said is just very true, is that like even if these goals won't like help us being very happy always, but we still like end up helping the society grow, in a fact that even if it's games or any other forms of art, we like push the society, like you told me. And it's very true, because like I feel like these forms of media and art really help people to think about the world that they live in, right? Because like you said, flash games were so cool, right? And we loved it in our high school times when we had IT lessons, and we didn't care about IT lessons because the teacher went out, and we could play the fuck out of of those
Hell yeah.
flash games, right? I loved miniclip.com, and there were so many cool flash games on that website. And they are, by the way, they are start to reviving that website. I'm not sure if you knew that, but they
Yeah,
are.
with Raffle, everything is
Yeah,
simulatable now.
yeah,
Nothing was
exactly.
lost.
Exactly. And it's so cool to see that. Those are great games, by the way. We could play like for hours, and we were never got bored of it, right? So it's like
And they were made by teenagers. I think most people don't know, but even the ones who are fanciest and best graphic, they were made by 16-year-olds or 15-year-olds. It's crazy.
True. Very true. Yeah.
And I love the point that you made with the teacher, that you had a really beautiful moment with the teacher that I can totally emphasize, I can totally relate to that. A very similar thing happened, and I think that was the moment, like similar thing. Was yours a language teacher?
Okay. Yeah, it was a
Was
Hungarian
yours?
language teacher, grammar teacher. Yeah.
In my case, for some reason, it was the same.
Nice.
this
Really?
this teacher was also a language teacher,
Okay.
and she made me fall in love with poetry
Okay.
and creating stuff. And I also had this moment, and for me, it was the moment where I knew I love to create stuff.
Nice.
Because making games, I told you Cactus, but this moment in high school, I think I was like 14 or 13.
Yeah, pretty
And
much for me it was the same. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I saw the beauty as well. I don't
Yeah,
know.
true. I remember those times in high school that she taught us to like exchange opinions by we had to sit in front of each other with my students and with my what is it called
Classmates.
classmates, yeah, sorry. And like we had to like write down our own opinions on papers and we have to exchange it, right? So she really taught us these old school methods of like forming opinions, being kind with your opinions, even if you don't like something. It's okay to disagree and exchange opinions by the paper, right? And communication should be like that as well. So she really like taught us the real, like, I don't know, methodic logical
And as
system that
people
we
as
should
well, right?
use, right? But at the end of the day, it's not what people do, right? At the end of the day, they are not like that. They are not like forming opinions like that or exchanging opinions with others like that. So yeah.
Nice. I think there is, to me, is the core of what makes a person great.
True.
Like those kind of experiences that really treat you as a human, and that really put things into perspective and that make you make the most out of what we have as humans, which is like talking, the way we talk, the way we think, and everything. It's like to me that's the key. And as the younger, the better. And it's I don't think people like see that enough unless it happened to you. I haven't heard people say like, oh well, I hear sometimes the story of I really like this history teacher, he made me fall in love with history, but I haven't heard the story of this teacher made me understand like empathy, or he made me understand, or
True.
these things that maybe you and I have felt in this situation,
I was
because it's
thinking,
rare to find.
true. I was always thinking about it because like it's weird. It's weird that you said that. I mean, in a good way, weird because like you made me think about that how to say this to not be like not be like very weird about it with my opinion, but so I had a very good childhood, but I had to grow up very fast because my grandfather passed away when I was 12, right? So probably that's also what like matured me in a way, and that's I think that was also the case that I started to appreciate these things because I think that it's stupid to say like this, but if that case did not happen, so if I would not have lose my grandfather, probably I would be still that happy kid, right? Which I'm still am, but like I miss him, so I'm not that happy, right? So I'm more of a sad person now, but trying to be kind and nice and happy. But I feel like that's how you grow in a person in very young age, and that's how you start to appreciate things and not being that I'm still a naive kid loving video games, but I'm not that naive anymore like I was before he passed away. If you understand what I mean. So I
I
think
know.
that's how I started to like understand and see behind the curtain. In my opinion, it might be the same if he would live, but I assume that really matured me in a way that I really
what
grew
what did
up
you
very
what do you get
fast.
from it?
Sorry.
What do you get from that experience?
I think that I really like grow as a person. So I always say this that I'm always trying to secure my childhood, and I still can because of loving video games and because of the help of my family that I have love from them and I give love to them as well. But I still feel like when you have this childhood bubble around you and all
Mm-hmm.
the loving family members and friends from your childhood, you don't realize the society standards, the society problems, right? And you don't care about those, right? Because information is not going into that bubble, right? What you have with love, with happiness, with everything. But if something bad happens to you as a kid, then that bubble pops and
Oh,
something is going in slowly, right? Fading. And because I was very sad with the fact that he passed away and I missed him so much and I still miss him. I think that's how I ended up like being able to like also um, consume everything from the, let's say, real world and not naive
yeah,
words.
yeah, 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 yeah,
But
yeah.
still, like it's weird because I remember myself at school, like I was still naive to a lot of things. Like, I was still that naive kid who like enjoys being happy and enjoys, playing video games. And never cared about being bullied because I played games. So it's like probably that's why I always say that childhood in our life is really what matters the most, and that's why I can totally relate to what you said, and I appreciate your honesty again. That really
I
our
think it's
teacher made us appreciate art, and it's also
well.
important.
You know what's funny as well is that we had a similar experience. It wasn't when I was 12; it was when I was 10 or 11. But this grandma that I was telling you, where I had the computer with all of the games, also died. But it didn't affect me in the same way as you at all, because what happened was, so I am in high school and I meet this teacher that I told you that made me fall in love with poetry, and I started writing. And in high school they gave us the state gave us little computers, little netbooks, and with Linux, and I love to write on it. And I made flip books, and I installed like Pivot, which is like a stickman animating program and stuff.
Nice.
I had fun with doing my stuff, and it's where I also have a lot from what I have today. But what happened is that I started going to how do you say, you compete in poetry. It's certamen in Spanish, but I don't know in
Okay.
English.
Okay.
A lot of people post their poems, and one wins.
I see. I see. I see. I see.
And I started going to them and winning some of them, and I was started to be very happy. And then my grandmother died. So what happened is that it was also a kind of slow death, because in my small town they had a lot of pollution in the air, because they used to make bricks. All of the bricks all of the houses in Spain, most of them were made in my small village, Bailen. And what happens is that all people that lived through that age, because all of the bricks companies closed, they died from cancer, a lot of them. And because my grandma didn't smoke or anything, she passed away still from pneumonia, like respiratory stuff, but it was just probably from the dust. And I knew that as a kid. So it was like, it wasn't to me, it was really tragic. But what I got from it was, because I was, in the moment that it happened, I couldn't even be there. I was away in a camp, in a music camp or whatever, and I was totally devastated, and I obviously cried like 2 days, and all night. It was really, really hard. But to me, and it has been something that has kept me going for a lot of things, that my grandma, ascended, and she's like here, right? She's like, not literally here, but she's like in the sky, like seeing over me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can relate to
It's
that. I believe in that too. As for my grandfather and who we lost on the way, I believe in that too. And like I said, that's what made me like kept my or keeping my inner child in myself. That's why I have never like started to go rogue against the world, because I remember myself like being very angry at the world, and sometimes I still am, but I'm still like uh, reminiscing about the good times with him, and that's what helped me like being still a kind person and still that naive kid in some ways, even if I know that society and our world sucks in a lot of ways. But let's try to not focus on that, and let's try to reconfigure that bubble that we had in as a
yeah,
child, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, I can relate to that. Yeah, yeah.
You know what she told me? She told me an eye for an eye. She told me, she told me like an eye for an eye. She told me love everyone, and she told me like some very basic stuff.
True.
But some of it was very harsh. Like an eye for an eye is like, a kid hits you at school, you hit him back. And I'm talking about the most Christian, most nice woman that you can ever imagine. She never hurt a fly. She was always doing charity stuff. Incredible. Like
that's
she
that's
baptized.
that's what
She
shows she
baptized.
really cared about you, right? So yeah.
Yes. And she even baptized me with the water from the Jordan River. She went to freaking Jordan. I don't know if I'm saying it right, like the place where
Yeah,
Jesus.
I know, I know.
And she did like a full like Christian super mission there and stuff. But she was like an eye for an eye, be super treat others like they should treat you and everything. And so when she died, it was like that stuff that she told me was like, phew, like enter in my head. And it wasn't really because it was a random loss. To me, I was like, she's still here. You know what I mean?
True, true.
And I wrote a poem about her, and I read it to my whole family, and that's how I closed that chapter, and everyone cried. It was very emotional. But I closed that chapter with creativity, and then I think a similar thing to you happened is that I stopped being creative for like 5 or 4 years. uh, I was like marinating, you could say. But
True.
it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
True. True.
Uh,
Thank you again for your honesty, and like I said, sorry for your loss. I really
no
appreciate your
worries.
honesty.
Likewise.
Thank you. Thank you.
Likewise.
Thank you.
But that's we are who we are because
True.
of that.
True. Very true. Very true.
Yeah.
I wish there will be like a time machine. Hopefully, someone will build it in the future, right? I always like reminisce and think about the possibility of having a time machine and going back to like old school times. That would be so cool,
Oh.
right? So yeah.
But don't you remember like stuff? I remember her jokes and I remember everything. So it's like she and we mentioned her
I
constantly.
remember
You know,
too.
so
I
it's-
remember too. Yeah, I think that's what's important to us. We will always remember, even if like society helps us to forget it, but we will try to remember it. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's really beautiful. And there was also like I don't want to change the subject really suddenly, but there was one thing that you said that I thought was super cool
Okay.
when we were talking about the people around you that
Okay.
didn't have goals, etc. Is that yesterday I had a really cool encounter. I met someone that worked at EA and Ubisoft randomly,
Okay.
and that they had this goal of like getting abroad and having a super cool job. And he was telling me about a senior at their team, which clearly knew a lot, but he was stuck in his role, which was like hyper specific, like debug tool scripting of gameplay. You know, it's not even the debug scripting as a whole; it's just for the gameplay, and it's super. And he was a senior, and he was treating him super badly in the sense of you are a junior, you are not even intermediate, and he's like making huge tools, and he's making a lot of stuff, and the intermediate people are telling him you are intermediate, you are not a junior anymore, and it's like I think the people who don't really have goals, you know, they make a family or they meet someone just because it's the societal norms, or they end up being like a senior in a very specific thing and they cannot think outside of that, you know. It's like nothing can be over me, you know, or
I
or
agree. I agree. But on other hand, sorry for interrupting. I feel like a lot
yeah,
of people, like I said it before, they are not brave enough to think out of the box, right? Even if
yes,
they would like to. I assume that these people, like you mentioned, the senior programmer or a person who makes the debug system work, they still have like plans. But I think that having a secure job for a lot of people matter more than pursuing their dreams, right? Or evolve as a person. And I think also what makes the real problem in these territories, even if it's like not about video game development, but in other territories as well, like an office job, right? There are options for you to evolve, to get better, but still it's like not the main goal as for the whole company, right? Because the main goal of the company is like to make money and puts the money on the table for all the people who work for that company, but not that people evolve. I think it's very rare when a company understands that you have to like educate people to a higher level to get your company to as well as a higher level, right? And also I feel like it's very true that if you like downscale. I remember my IT teacher because at university I was learning software engineering and programming for a lot of years, and one of our teachers said, who also like made a couple of games here in Hungary, he said that the more people you will have on a team as a development team, even if it's just software, not a video game, uh, the harder you will get to the point when you can finish actually the software itself, the project. Because like the more people you work with, it's true for every territory, not just video game development, right? It will be harder to like have your vision in very straightforward with all those people like going this and that direction, right? And also like communicating between each other, because people think that it's easy, but it's not. At the end of the day, like communication between people is mostly like very scary in my opinion, because people like can so easily misunderstood each other, right? And I don't know, so it's weird, it's that's why I feel like having very different people in a team can sometimes work, and there is sometimes this very lucky and magical, you know, relationship between people, but mostly it's just it's very time consuming, very tiring. um I always I'm a person who learns from his examples and from other examples as well, from others people. And for me, I can tell you that from my experience about when I started building my community as on Twitch, I always like had these strict rules, for example, about not being toxic in a community. And a lot of people like hated it, like why can't you be toxic, like why can you say bad things to another's mom, you know, because I think that's not correct, right? And a lot of people hated it, but at the end of the day, when I imagined my community come to life like 11 years ago, I would self question myself back then, but now looking back, that I made so many like strict rules, but having a family, a second family with my all my community members who are here now for me and for each other as well, it really made sense, right? So it's hard, it's tiring, it would take a lot of years for people, and that's why I'm saying it's very hard. And I appreciate those AAA companies who make happen all those great games, but it's still, I wouldn't be in their place, because like it's crazy, and I assume that's why they end up like firing so many people, because they realize that they might have to educate just one person who will do all the work. But yeah, I don't know, so it's hard. At the end of the day, I think there should be like a middle ground, and there should be solutions for everyone to like have people in the same territory who have very similar knowledge, so they can replace each other, so the work time like scales down. Like for example, if there are two programmers who are like having the same knowledge and very similar style in programming and very similar work schedule, they can downscale their work hours, right? So they don't have to, like for example, work 10 hours a day, but 5 and 5, and you, for example, pay this one and this one too, so it makes sense, so they won't get burnt out from their process. So I don't know, it's hard to
Yeah,
maintain this.
it's very weird. I also see your the way you talk about Twitch and stuff is like a classroom. Like I think it's a good way of seeing it, because there are people who profit from having a toxic fan base, right?
True,
They
true,
make
true, true. A lot
objectively
of
like
people actually, yeah.
and doing the opposite is like working against the tide,
I always say
But
this, or at least my parents always say this, is pissing against the wind.
yes,
Yeah, yeah.
well, it's not that horrible, because in the end, even if the path may be a little bit harder, you feel way better. So it's
Yeah.
not like you're getting peace in your face.
Yeah, true, 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 true.
I'm sure you must feel good, like
True,
having.
true.
And
Yeah,
I
it's
see.
good. It's just hard. At the end of the day, it's really hard, because like you are going against the flow that is always there. And I think that hate as an emotion is a waste of time, in my opinion. Of course, everyone has hated something or someone. In my life, I also have sometimes hate when I can deal with something that I would like to. But it's I'm always trying to calm myself down, because I feel like it really drives me crazy if I hate on something. So it doesn't matter to me anymore to do that. But for a lot of people, it like is just a normal thing to do.
Yeah, or it's
So
because
it's
they
like,
don't want to spend the effort to actually formulate like an
yeah,
opinion, and the
exactly,
hating is really
exactly,
easy. It's like
exactly,
your mom. It's like,
exactly,
okay.
exactly, exactly.
The Anthony Fantano, the guy that reviews music in the internet.
Okay.
He's like super famous,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and he's always complaining that his comments are always the same memes. He hasn't even fostered that kind of behavior. It's what happens naturally when you grow. So if I see also, because it's YouTube, but in Twitch I see kind of a beauty that you can create a community. And what you say, I really think that's unique
True,
to
true,
that,
true,
like
true,
having a
true,
live audience and stuff. And I
true,
think there is a responsibility and also an opportunity.
true,
Like you have a classroom with it's not really students, but it's like people who are there to hear you and like to communicate with each other. And
true, true.
if you treat them, it's not really having rules, but like massaging, the way that you treat them really steers them in a direction. And
True.
if you go to a place where it's like YouTube, it's like you can't really do anything. It's inevitable. But here you have like a good chance. I think
True,
it's an
true,
effort
true,
well spent.
true, 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 very true. Okay, before I ask some more questions, are you down to answer some questions from my community?
Yes.
Nice,
Yes,
nice, nice,
please
nice.
fire up. I haven't
Let
been seeing the chat, so sorry,
us
guys.
know. No, no, it's okay, it's okay. I will read out loud if there is any question. Let us know, by the way. Let us know, ladies and gentlemen. Let us know, let us know. Hölgyek, urak, bármilyen kérdés? Any questions? Let us know. Let us know. Any questions? Any questions? My voice is cutting out, sorry for that. Any questions? Bármilyen kérdés? Do you believe, by the way, in perfect synergy before there will
Imperfect
be
synergy.
more
Oof,
questions, or while you're waiting for questions between team members from your experience?
I think human relationships are really fragile.
Okay.
I think like feelings and stuff are complicated. Even if you find the perfect person, I think you should always like treat it like I don't know, like something really precious, right? Because it's like even if you find like I have this main artist, and like we have a case where he actually knows my family, and tomorrow he's coming over, his family is coming over to have like we do a fake Christmas, which is like the 25th. It's not the 25th, but the 25th of the month before we do like a dinner and stuff.
I see.
And so it's not really a professional relationship, it's also much more personal,
I see.
right? And we have these kind of connections which I really compare to Hotline Miami, the Cactus and his artist. It's like we could like go as monks to a hill and like make them games there, like with no internet or whatever, and it could work out, you know what I mean? But I'm still, because I feel like I'm young, I still treat these things very carefully, because I always, you know, I try in my team my best to even though you have gold or diamond in your team and like a perfect connection, I still have the utmost respect, and it doesn't come from fear. It comes from gratitude. Like I want everyone to have a voice, and I also make myself accountable with the littlest thing that I do that I feel is wrong. I always do postmortems, and I always do like reports, you know, of what happened. And I really think one thing has to have the other, because you can't really. I think you can really foster a good synergy if you don't have the right attitude to go with it, you know. And you won't attract these kind of people if you don't have the wrong attitude, and if you're just looking for like, hey, I want just people to work for me. It's not like that. It's like I wish I could like give more to them every day, you know.
True. Have you always, by the way, had this mentality of yours, or is it something that developed out through the years in you? Because it's a very positive mentality,
yeah.
right? So, and respectful.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't know. I was raised like that, and also my parents are teachers, so there is a lot of empathy, and there is a lot of, I know, I've learned a lot about people in general, and connecting, and the importance of growth and knowledge, how important knowledge is, and sharing it, and also the fact that when you have a student, for example, you are not you don't have like a random kid. You have someone with a story, right? Someone that had like family problems, that had X amount of things, and they have their own like culture. They love Fortnite or whatever, you know. It's like I have a little student. I am also like a teacher part time, and I've been with him for 2 years, teaching a 12-year-old to use my engine and everything. It's been going great. But he loves like a very specific kind of things, and that is beautiful, you know, because you can really you can really understand the how he's a sponge, you know, being so young. Everything that you feed into him, he's going to take it and like learn from it really quickly. So it's a huge responsibility. You need to be really kind, you need to be really empathetic with him. So having those kind of experiences really build you like in the way that I am today. Like everything that I've been doing at the same time in parallel has been building up to kind of this being kind and whatever. And then I'm super aggressive. I can be an ass when I'm talking to a client or whatever. If I have no respect for them, I can be an ass. And
I can
my team
relate
is
to
so
that. Yeah, it's like eye for an eye, right?
exactly. You disrespect my team and my work, and I'm like I'm going to be super cold and like this is just a job, and like, leave me alone, you know. So it's I don't know. It's strange, right?
yeah. But you have to defend yourself. And at the end of the day, in my opinion, like even if you're trying to be kind every time, sometimes life will throw something in front of you that you won't be able to deal with, and you will start to get angry. So it's just we are as humans. So yeah, it makes sense at the end of the day. Yeah.
Yeah, I also love to like I don't know. I know learning is better through tough experiences. So in a sense, I guess I like to suffer. So when I have a
I can
experience
also
that is,
relate to that.
you know,
Yeah. Sadly, I would say. I wish I wouldn't. Yeah.
everyone that likes to give stuff away, I hope they also know that there is a big burden that you have, and also that even though you are learning, nobody is going to be thankful at the end of the day.
Yeah.
The thankfulness,
Yeah.
if it comes, you
It's
shouldn't
very
think about
rare.
it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ever,
Yeah.
ever, ever.
Yeah,
It will be the
and being
opposite.
thankful always will make people like being this in this naive position where like they end up thinking that okay, because this one person out of 100 was thankful, then other people will probably in the future, but it never happens, right? So, and I think that also the case which comes is that like people who thankful, they are not even saying that. So it's like people always more into like saying what they do not like rather than what they like. And I think that that's what it comes from, really, that if they, even if they are thankful for just you being kind, right, they won't say it, most of them, because like it's not a, humanity itself is not educated anymore by like appreciating good things.
Mhm.
It's rather us saying something is bad, right? So it's way easier, right, for all of us humans to say that okay, this sucks, or this
Yeah,
is
yeah,
bad.
exactly.
And I think it's not good, because at the end of the day nobody would like to hear that sentence, right? So you, or you suck, or that person suck, or this game sucks, because at the end of the day nobody will be happy with that. And it's not a fair thing also to say, because it's not kind, and it's not like an opinion, it's just like a word, right, which cannot be used to overcome your fears or your issues that you had, for example, in a game or something. But yeah,
I
yeah,
totally
it's
agree.
weird. Yeah.
I think the people who are not thankful, it's because I say this thing of never expect thankfulness, expect the opposite, because people actually will be angry and they will like mm, from the frustrations like pay back with the person that is doing the most. That is going to happen. But I think I've seen a pattern. I think the people who are not thankful or not really thankful, or they are just saying it, or the opposite, or they become aggressive or whatever, is because they didn't really want to do the thing that they are doing, or that you are helping them to do it
True.
in their heart. It's
True.
just they are
True.
just
I can totally relate to that. Yeah, yeah. I have the same
you know
experience, and I think that a lot of people who are not. Also, it comes to the point when, and ties to this topic, what you have said is that those people who are not willing to help others, they are the ones mostly who are not being able to help themselves in their real life. So it's
and,
probably
and
pretty much the similar what you have said. It's just in a different like territory, because I feel like a lot of my experiences with people, when I saw people like very being very mean, it was always like those people were the ones who were like very mean, who did not, or never been able to like help themselves, so they choose to be mean rather to help others, right? So but they always of course appreciated if someone helped them, so they were always open arms to wait for the help, right? But if you needed help from them, no, it's a no-go, because they're not down to that. So it's weird. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
there are a
That's,
lot of facades, in the
yeah,
world.
yeah. And that's why I think that it's very rare that you can make uh, a group of people having this synergy, even if they are like having a similar vision. But that's how they end up being, right? So not caring about each other or not having empathy, because it's really sometimes, even if you have the vision, it's like if you don't have empathy or being kind to each other, it's hard to form a group of
It's
people.
also magnetic, right? If you're like that, it's easier for people to come around, and
Connect.
then
Yeah.
you need a little bit of filter and a strategy
True.
to
True.
defend
True.
yourself from the
True.
people who
True.
are
True.
like
True. True.
assaiding and
True.
stuff. That's
True.
a skill
True.
as well.
True.
But
True.
I wanted to
I
tell
learned that
you
the
from
hard
a
way, by the way. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Everyone, I guess
Yeah.
everyone did, right?
Yeah. Yeah. True.
But
True. True.
what you were saying, totally on point. And I wanted to tell you from yesterday that I think there is a good example. Like we were talking about people who are not thankful, whatever. I want to leave like a positive message, because yesterday I almost cried, because I am working on a project, right? And it was hard or whatever. And I hired this friend from my city, who is an incredible animator. right? And they animate super well, and we've been friends for a long time, for like 10 years and whatever. But they weren't really ever in a creative sense close to me. We grew together because I guess we like same humor and stuff, and we like silly things, and we were always very close. But there was never. Usually, when people think of synergy, they think of, hey, we like the same like anime or whatever, and that can happen. But in this case, like it's a beautiful person, it's a really beautiful person that does beautiful things, the most empathetic person I know. And we grew up like throughout these years through a lot of things, and they became an animator. Suddenly they were creative, and I was like helping them through that as well, like helping them make their portfolio, because I always do these things because I don't care. I don't care what it costs to me time wise, because I love like doing stuff, and I never mention it. I just do it, and I forget. They always invited me to their house to eat. They were super nice. Their parents are absolutely amazing, beautiful people ever, and all of that. And yesterday, it was the end of their work, because they had been helping me out with the animation of the game, because I had hired them because, hey, we need someone, and I can't think of anyone better than you, because I know your portfolio, I know how you work, and you'd be perfect. It's the perfect coincidence. And what they told me kind of made me cry, because they said that, hey, uh, this, because I was like, hey, you've been working really well, but I see that you work more hours that you should have, and you shouldn't like miss your appointments with your family or anything, because you're working with me. You need to trust that I say that you can do your thing and stuff. And they're like, no, but I've been doing this because you helped me so much, throughout these years, and I've been putting my heart into this, because yeah, man, it's been like it's the least I can do. And like really it made me cry. And it was beautiful, and that is a person that wants to be what they are going to be. It's a person that are doing their stuff because they are passionate. You see their portfolio, and it's beautiful. And it's if you have that pattern recognition, it's great, because if you start recognizing these people who are really passionate about what they do, it will be easier to find yourself in these situations where everything is a net positive, instead of a capitalistic boss that is like masking as an investor, a nice investor, and then screws you over, or makes you gives you a really hard time. It's like the opposite case, and I think it should be highlighted, because that happens as well. It can happen, and that is a synergy that worked perfect in the project. So I think it's beautiful.
True, very true. Thank you for your honesty again. I appreciate that. Yeah, thank you for that. Okay.
They will be listening. I told them,
True.
I'm going to. I gave them a link, and I'm going to speak about you.
Oh, nice.
In 5 minutes, I'm going to speak about you.
True.
Mm.
Do you think, like, by now that you so far looking back on your past life, that you started making games, you're really at the right place of your life, and you really feel happy about that you make games with this mentality of yours?
It never happened. I was like 8, and I was like, I'm going to make games. I since the emulator stuff that in my grandma's house, I was like, I'm going to make games. You know what I mean? The only thing that changed is that I have a very stable cushion. After Quomp, with the money I invested in a master's degree in virtual reality. And my plan was to, before any of the team stuff happened or anything, I was still a solo dev. And my plan was to get a team and work part-time in a VR job and get a lot of money because it's really trendy. And also because I feel I'm really good at it. But yeah, I did these things, right? So I have this cushion of, in case I need a really good part-time job, I have the experience and I have the masters. I've been doing freelancing for a long time. I have these things that are supporting me in my life. I also have a really good partner and everything. So these things have been the cushion for me to feel like I can do this, and nothing can stop me. I like the Stardew Valley guy said has a really good video that is like a minute long. It's like, you can do this. You can just keep making games forever, and it's whatever. Who can stop you? It's like whatever. So that plus having like built little things in my life that make me content has been the perfect combo, you know, and it's really hard. And obviously, I'm in a very privileged position this. You can see the color of my skin, you can see everything, and obviously, I am privileged in a lot of ways. I'm not from a rich family, but I still feel I owe a lot of things to the world, and that I also try to be very conscious of, you know. Um, yep.
It's very nice of you that you have this mindset of like realizing that you appreciate everything that you have in life and you are trying to give back to the people. It's rare in my opinion. It's rare. It's getting more rare and rare nowadays. Yeah. Yeah. I always say this
My
and joke with this that people should like learn how to make video games, then then their perspective will change for the better, right? If they hate on games, they should start making games, and then they will realize
yes.
how hard it is to make games, and they will start to appreciate all the small segments in video games. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, or they will hate you because you make games. Like, I cannot make games. Why can you? Like, I hate you.
True, true,
Like,
true.
hate
The
can come
healthy
from
or the
anywhere.
unhealthy competition. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But in the end, I think I do this also, and I also give some talks in Spanish, and I want to. I've been submitting talks because, yeah, man, I want to give back. I want to be a better teacher. I want to teach more people. I want to record. Yeah, I know these things will slow me down in games, but I think it's worth it. You know.
True, true, true. Because at the end of the day, all small steps matter, and hopefully, people will like be educated in any territory for the better. I believe in that, and I also believe that what you mentioned before at the beginning of our interview is that like games can help people like learn a lot of stuff, not just languages, but mechanics and moral and mentality wise. So yeah.
Right, that's super good. I totally agree. I totally agree.
True.
I think, yeah, I think we should, all we can do in life is give an example. It's all we can do. And then, like, try to do cool stuff and then talk about it and then, like, give an example. You know, I don't believe in so much as making a Twitter thread of a bad experience or whatever. I don't think I will ever have to do that. I hope. You know, even though I have experience that totally scarred me for life, like last year was a really, really, really bad year. Like, me giving everything and the client being really mean, and it was horrible, like one of my worst experiences. And still, I don't feel like the best thing I can do is just make better things and learn from what happened and all of that. You know what I mean? And not like linger in the feeling of dread from like random cases that are totally outside of my control. Like what happens to the life of a person is not in my control. You know, I can only try to recoup and next time have more layers of shield. You know.
True. Very true. Very true. What would be your advice for developers who would like to start making games from the experiences you had so far?
Mm, it's hard because how I started officially was I sent Staff Wombat a private message on Twitter, and I said, in this game you're using like a badly hand-drawn font. Why you can use one of these, or even I made one for you, like in case you want to use it, because I think the game is incredible. He was making a small, like super tiny game before co-op or anything, and it was super good game. And I was like, hey, here you have it if you want. And he's like, okay, I'm going to put you on a Discord with super cool people. And he put me on a Discord with some other people.
Confidence about your passion, right?
Yeah, he was super kind, and that totally changed my life. I don't think if that moment didn't happen, I wouldn't be here. Well, maybe different things would have happened, but I will be forever thankful for him for that. And ever since we've been friends. We are in different places because even though we work in home together a little bit, I've been in the systems driven thing, you know, and I've been slowed down by the other stuff, so I haven't been in the making games camp. I've been fixing that in the last few years, making jam games that are personal and stuff, and I will keep doing that and better, you know. But um, the the question that you asked to me, it comes to that, like find your place, like if it's picking up a program or it's talking to someone, just do it, just start. And I think even just because I hate that people when people say the first step is the hardest, and you know, you when you start it's easier or whatever. No, I
Just
don't
have to take
agree.
the first step, right?
I don't agree because I think it's coming to the realization that nothing can stop you, like in the sense of you need to look at things until you see them, until you see the molecules, and you're like, okay, this is not that difficult. You need to scale down. You need to look at a lot of things, but you end up seeing something that is like, I get it, right? It's like I see how it's done, even if I don't understand it completely,
Sure.
and I feel like I want to invest myself in it.
True.
So it finds you. It's not really, oh, I want to be a game developer. It's like it finds you.
True.
The feeling finds you.
Sure.
But obviously there are things that can help, like hop into a no-code language like Construct. My engine is really good for people who don't know how to code. And as I said, Staff Wombat used it for everything in his career, and he has made incredible, like Mosalina is like a super successful game, incredibly successful game. And he has games on consoles. One of them we sold them to Atari. Like if that's not a good presentation for the engine, I don't know what is.
True.
Everyone like hop into the engine, learn it, and start making stuff. And also, look at the Staff Wombat has a thing in his each page that is called GIFs, GIFs. Everyone, if you want to start making games, look at that video. It's a video, and you can also download it, and it's a zip file with hundreds of GIFs of his prototypes. These are made in the engine that I'm telling you about. Some in 10 minutes, some in it's crazy how fast you can do things in that engine, and that can be extrapolated into Unity. You can just see how, what I told you, right? Seeing the molecules of the things, you can really see them in his work, and I think that's beautiful because it's not only not replicable. Well, obviously you can replicate his mechanic, but in a sense you cannot like think of the same thing. It's already been thought of, right? You're not making a shooter combined with water, and you are focusing on the mechanics. So as a teacher, to me, Staff Wombat has always been a fascination ever since I met him, because it's like I want to distill this thing that he does, and I really want to learn from it first for myself, and then I want to try to give it to people because it's so powerful, and it's not really a style or an imitation of what he does. He takes the pieces and he takes his life things that he sees around, and he makes something new from very simple pieces, but that totally blows people's minds. You can see in GIFs he has really interesting mechanics and systems that, it's really easy to also say, okay, you can't really make a game out of that. Okay, but maybe a variation of that, or maybe if you thought more deeply about it, it's just the building blocks. And to me, sketching doesn't exist in video games. So if you guys want to get into it, learn sketching. And it's a 2-hour video, by the way, from GIFs of 10 seconds. So 2 hours.
Don't forget to send me over, and I can share it on my
I will.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
That is my answer.
Yeah. Okay. So what about the future? When the public can hear some news about your future games that you are planning to release, that you were talking about earlier?
Yes, in Comic-Con, in Singapore Comic-Con, in the 7th of December, we are releasing a demo of a game that we've been making with lots of love. It's the one that made me cry yesterday from the animator. Nice. And it's a cool beat 'em up. I had a bad time promoting myself because I've been focused on this journey that I've been telling you about, meeting a team and all of these obstacles, and I have overlapping projects that have been really crazy. It's not. I'm really envious of the solo developers that I knew since the beginning, because they've been making games and I've been building a different thing, and it's okay because I can catch up, But we have this game. Another one is coming out in December. It will be on Steam under the Notebike brand. Now that I have a team and the resources, I can work into the social media networking. So the Notebike in general, you can look at that. It's my team. It's what I'm doing right now. And in my itch.io, I will be like releasing more stuff. I have a lot of personal games that I'm cooking. Some about one about my grandma dying, and I want to. I feel that there is a lot of value in video games, and I want to diversify it as much as I can. So I will just keep expressing myself. So the itch.io from my, you will see more stuff there, and the Notebike.
Okay. Thank you for that. Okay. We touched here, by the way, a lot of topics. Is there something that we missed and you would like to talk about that I haven't had a question for, or I haven't touched as a topic?
It was incredibly thorough. The questions were really good, so I congratulate you. I was
Thank you.
really interested to talk with you because the questions from the other episode were really good as well,
Thank you.
and because I love the conversation with Nacho as well, which is a
Thank
good
you.
friend.
Thank you.
What I would want to talk about? Hmm, I think we should be kinder to each other.
I agree with that. Yeah.
That's a message that I love to say.
That's a hard
And
message to
also,
take for a lot of people nowadays, right? Sadly, I would
yep,
say. Yeah.
yep. And that I don't know, like learn from what you see around, like seeing, like we can talk a little bit about the staff combat, what the stuff that I learned from that and the com thing if you want. Like we can talk a little bit about that because
Okay.
it
Yeah.
comes
Sure.
around
Sure.
to
Sure.
that
Sure. Sure.
message that I
Sure.
just said.
Sure.
Because I think you played Quomp, right?
Yeah, I did a bit. Yeah.
That game was 9 months, right? We made that game. An angel investor gave us money, and Wombat was put me into the game, and I helped with some technical stuff. But that game had a lot of hardships, and everything is public. You can read it on his blog and everything. But he tried remaking it 5 times, and um, he throughout meeting him, I've seen so many like hardships, like these things that I've built myself in life, like finding jobs, freelancing, kind of moving out, becoming independent, having stability in a lot of things. Those kind of subtract from the creativity in a lot of ways. Because to me, he's the most creative person ever, and it's because he has gone through a lot of crazy adventures, and he went through a whole summer barefoot. And I hope he starts giving interview in the future because his stories are so funny. And
Let me
through
contact
living
with him, and I will try my best.
you are one message on Discord away from that, and
Okay.
he's
Thank you.
now. Maybe he says yes now because I know he's been chilling lately with development and stuff.
Okay. Let me
So
connect
who
with him,
knows?
and I can make it happen. Hopefully. Yeah.
And what happened is that I've been living his hardships with him. All of these screwed up stuff that may or not be on the blog. That it's not really relevant in this situation, but a person that has really went through life has really taught me that being like being kind and being thankful for what you have is really important
Sure.
because then you can actually sacrifice stuff. Like I could now go on a crazy adventure because I have seen these hardships and I have seen these things.
Sure.
I now feel ready, to go out and do the things. Like for example, he came to Spain and I gave him a tour throughout Spain with trains in different cities, and we have like our little adventures and stuff. And he got really sunburned in Malaga, like really, really sunburned. I had to broom the skin. So I don't know. That to me is the source of life. You can have your family, you can have your wife, you can do your normal life stuff. But to me, he has taught me like being thankful for the world because what I say is like right. You need to be kind and you need to be thankful for what you have. That is too abstract. To make it more concrete, you need to be thankful for the world that you have. You have trains, you have freaking public transport, you have globalization. You can go anywhere you
And
want.
we
You have
still complain about everything is being shit, right? Sadly.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
You have people that are poor. You have people that are rich. You have people who have gone through crazy stuff. You have people who have all kinds of experiences and crazy stuff to tell and to know. You have crazy places, everything.
Sure.
You have a world around you, and to be thankful, I think it's also to like I know, go out barefoot for a whole summer. Learn from that. Get kicked out from somewhere. I want to get. I not that it happened to woman, but like live. Like to be thankful for what we have as humans. We have hands. We have feet. There are a lot of people who cannot walk or who
True.
cannot.
True. True.
So
True.
to me,
True.
that is the biggest lesson that I learned, and that
Sure.
is the fundamental thing
True.
to me in creativity. That gets funneled into whatever you do. Even if it's like whatever game you think doesn't have that, has that. There was a person behind. And in I don't know. To me, that's the source of life. I don't know what your opinion is, so I want to hear it. What do you
No,
think
I
about
agree
that?
with you on that, and I think like in my opinion, people find it hard to appreciating small steps and small goals, achieving small goals, or being just appreciating like everything around us, like you said, having two hands and having two legs. Because like I feel like people are not educated in this way, and people do not have this mentality because they haven't having anything happy in their life, right? And I think it's most of the cases what happens is like people do not have to something or someone to carry on or carry with themselves, so it's like they end up in this like rabbit hole of sadness where
Hmm.
they like start to like question why they are living in this earth, right? So which in some cases, in or at least most of the cases, I think sometimes can make sense, because like every one of us like had experienced a lot of like bad things, in my opinion.
Hmm.
Those are the luckiest ones who haven't, in my opinion,
Hmm.
and it's very rare. But like it's really that quote of like beauty in the pain, right? So you have to learn it in a hard way. And I don't know, I think like I'm sure that every person loves to complain at some point of their life about something, but at the end of the day, you really have to realize that it's you who rather will help yourself go over with those issues in your life, and also like being able to appreciate the happy times. But at the end of the day, still, I feel like the society nowadays it's like very different, because like there are people who appreciate small things and small happy things and very small things, right? And just like for example, games. If there are so many bugs in a game, a lot of people will say this game sucks, which is not fair in my opinion, right? Because there are parts of the game which are might not be not buggy but very nice. The animation or the gameplay system or the story, or if it's a multiplayer game. And I think like that's what a lot of people miss. And it's caused because their life is like rushed, especially nowadays, right? So it's like they're not being able to focus on something small because they are rushing through everything. You know, there is this movie with, if I'm correct, Adam Sandler, where he has like um, TV. What is it called
Which one?
in
Ah, the one with the remote.
the remote
Click,
control? Click,
click,
click. Oh,
click.
it's click in
Yes,
English. Yeah,
yes.
yeah, yeah. So it's
It's
pretty much the
really
same, right? He presses the button and he like rushes all the sequences of the sex scene, and like it's so crazy to me. Like that's what people really do. Like people, I found it very like let's say scary or very nerve-wracking and sad at the same time, that for example couples who are on the train, they rather like not sit close together but rather like have their phone in their hands and messaging others, and not like having a kiss to each other, or not like holding each other hand to hand, right? But they rather
they
use
probably
their
don't have
phone.
that good of a relationship, you know.
No, I had friends who had a very good relationship, and they still like ended up being this misconnected people from each other, and I'm not sure why. Like it's so weird to me, and I think that it really shows that a lot of people are, like I said before, they are not. It I know it's harsh to say, but it's still I feel like there a lot of people are not educated on an emotional and a knowledgeable mental level enough by their parents, and that's what matters at the most. That's why I always say that childhood really matters, and how we were raised, like you said, because like most of the cases, if you don't get love from your parents and the appreciation of everything that you had as a child, you won't be able to learn it, or you will learn it in a hard way. And that's
Yes,
how I think people reacting to what you have said is very true, in my opinion. People end up like being these like very negative, very like, crazy minded people, and hating on everything. And I, on one hand, sometimes I can understand them, because of course every one of us, I think, had depression in their life. I'm sure that there is no one in this earth who never had depression or sadness in their life.
absolutely.
Or at least if there are, they must be the happiest people in life. Like you said, it's also very true. Like um, there is a saying or a quote in Hungarian that language that boldogok a lelki szegények, which means that those are the happiest ones who are emotionally like poor.
Are emotionally what?
Poor, like poor, not rich
Ah,
but poor. Yeah,
mm,
and I think this quote translates to like those people who are very like we discussed it. Like you mentioned that there were some people in your city who had never had goals, but they still were happy with their family. I think that that bubble really can like help people. Like if they never went out from that bubble that they lived in, and they are just focused on the small things, that's also like appreciation and being happy, right? So I'm assuming that there's a rare chance in our society, in our world, that there are some people who will be ending up in this bubble forever for their whole life, but still be happy because like they appreciate the small things like tidying up in the room, having a 9 to 5 job, not being creative, or being just creative in tidying up the room. They all can also do that, right? Or
Some of the
cooking. So
most, but there is
but
a
it's simple,
misconception.
right? So it's simple. It's
Yeah,
it's like you don't have to worry about. You go to the work, go home, you make the food, you be with your family, and you go to sleep and you repeat. And there are some people who are totally okay with that, and I'm totally okay if they are happy with it. So like I said, find something that you're happy with, but don't like force yourself not to be happy. You have the right to be happy, right? So at the end of the day, yeah.
that's beautiful. Yeah, I was going to say that there is a misconception that in these people that never get out of the bubble, they just love each other and that's it.
True,
But
true.
some of the most cultured people that I know in my life come from like the small town, right? No internet, no nothing, but they have books, right? And they know the most of anyone that I ever known, the most wise people ever. So I hate when people say that in Spain there is like a cliche of like the small town people are like rednecks like in America. Nothing like that, you know. They are really rough and they're really like how do you say, like feisty, and you know they have different customs, but it is seen more frowned upon the behavior of someone from a city in Spain because they can be too too isolated, or they can be like socially very inept in a lot of ways, or they can be, for example, used to a lot of things that are they are depending on that doesn't really make sense. And the people from the small towns can do anything, you know. They can like fix a door, they can do absolutely, well, not really only technical stuff, but also like mentally, they're mentally really strong. My partner has a lot of that because she grew up in a small town, and to me it's some of the I'm glad to having been also grown in a place like that. Then I moved to a city, but that gives me like, I don't know, I hope that never ends, you know, because the cities are also like what you say, that these things that the outside of the bubble are also really bad in some ways, you know.
True,
They can really damage you,
true,
and
true,
they how do you say, they don't let you have some tools in life,
true, true, true,
you know,
true, very
because
true.
the yeah, everything goes really fast, as you said. I totally agree. I totally agree,
Yeah,
and
and
I
you
think it's
get you get misconnected from your own vision, from your family, from love, from passion, because of everything that's makes you misconnected or disconnected from what you are really or what you want to be. Yeah, yeah, agree, agree.
internet, globalization,
Yeah,
news, whatever.
exactly, exactly, exactly. That's why I don't read news more often. So, and I don't watch TV. I rather, pursue what I like, and that's all. So, it's a bubble, but it works. So, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we are all in a bubble. It's okay.
True, 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 true. Very true. Thank you again, by the way, for everything. Is there anything, by the way, that you would like to talk about? I'm all open ears.
I'm very happy about the last thing we talked about. Honestly, to me, it's my condensation of my message, I think.
Thank you for that, and thank you for your honesty. Like I said before, I really appreciate that. I always
I think in
appreciate
Spain we
people.
are very honest. I don't know outside, but here we are maybe too much sometimes. But
I love that. I love that. It matters at the end of the day. I think that's how people can really learn from each other and grow as a person. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much again. So like I said,
like
I
that,
will I will need some more of your minutes off stream, but for those who are watching us here live or will be watching the VOD back on Twitch, today I will save it and you will be able to watch it back or later the YouTube edited version as well on YouTube. Thank you if you watched us till the end. And of course, don't forget to check out the Steam page of the games that our friend here made. And also with his team, he made awesome games as well. And he's also planning to release more games. So be on the lookout for those games as well. And on the itch.io page as well. And yeah, thanks everyone who joined us for today's episode. Have a great day or night, depending